And why is meeting and greeting so important? Why is meeting and greeting important to you, Paul?
Well, at least it shows that the customer is being paid attention to when they walk in, and it's the beginning of building a rapport.
Okay, it's the start of building a rapport. Why is meeting and greeting important to you, Don?
They're going to get an opinion of you right away, and you're only going to get one chance at that opinion.
They form their early impressions of you at that point? Okay, and that's an excellent point, and I would substantiate that just by showing you this slide. Everybody's heard of this one before. You never get a second chance to make a good first impression. And in sales, we're really up against it, aren't we? Meeting and greeting is something that we do every day. You met and were greeted by and or greeted other people this morning when you arrived here. And it's something that you do instinctively. Is there a thought process that goes into it? Do you think about it, Nick?
When a customer walks in, I like to walk up to them, introduce myself, look them straight in the eye, shake their hand, maybe with both hands, and welcome them to the dealership, give them a warm feeling.
Okay, welcome them to a dealership, give them a warm feeling. So it is something that you think about. Anybody else really think about their meeting and greeting and how they go about it? Do you really think about it, or do you just do it? What happens, unfortunately, when we do things by instinct a lot of the time? Si?
Gets repetitious and boring.
Gets repetitious and boring. Well, for you, at any rate, it might get, and it might be for other people as well. Barry, what happens?
You probably take shortcuts.
You take shortcuts. Why?
It's easier. It's easier.
It's easier, sure. What happens when you start taking a lot of shortcuts? You get sloppy. What happens when you get sloppy, Stu?
You lose sincerity, and the impact on the customer is decreased as a result.
Sure. So you can relate it to anything. You see, you instantly related it back to selling. And it immediately became boring. And you took shortcuts. Everybody's had periods when your sales are going really well. And you don't think about it. You start to take a couple of little, I haven't got time to do the orientation drive. I haven't got time to check out my vehicle before I deliver it. I haven't got time to do some of these things because of the pressure. Sales dip. What happened?
Didn't do your job right.
You stopped doing all the things that went on. Who plays sports? A lot of sports here. Now, if you watch the professionals, if you go down to the ball game and you watch the Jays play, or you go to the hockey arena before the game time, what are the players doing? They're warming up. What do they do in warm-up other than to kind of get the bones loosened up?
Practice.
They're practicing, and what do they really practice mostly?
Basics.
The basics, the fundamentals. It's a little bit of fielding, a little bit of batting, and some catching, and whatever in baseball. And in hockey, they'll try different shots. They'll go in on goal. The goaltender gets a little warm-up. But they always go back to the basics. If you play golf like I do, if my game starts to go into the dustbin, which it does too often, I always have to go back to the basics because it's usually something very basic that causes the chain reaction out there. It's never the final result. It's something you did right at the beginning that went wrong. So if we can put that analogy to selling, if you've got one chance to make that good first impression, it starts with the initial meet and greet. True? That's the way it goes. You know that we're all judged by the performances that we have on a continuing basis, and consistency becomes the watchword. One of the examples that's often used when it talks about consistency, if I mention the name McDonald's, what do you think of, other than hamburgers? But what do you think about? Big Mac. Big Mac. Okay, Sam, I see that. Mass marketing, but the beauty of McDonald's is what? That if you go into a McDonald's in Mississauga, North York, Etobicoke, Miami Beach, Vancouver, British Columbia, what do you get?
Good service.
All the same. When you walk in, what do they say to you? Good morning, good afternoon, welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order? And would you like something else with that? You get the same presentation every time, don't you? Because it's effective and because it works. So it is that attitude of consistency. I want to play a little bit of a word association game with you. Everybody got a pen, paper? You should have, because we gave you some. I want you to write down the first word that comes to mind when I say car salesperson? Write down the first word. Don't even think about it, just write it down. Car salesperson. Let's just get a sampling here. I've got a chart we're going to use, and I want you to tell me what you wrote down, your first thought, when I said car salesperson. Paul, what did you write?
Sly.
Sly. Is that like Sly and the Family Stone or Sylvester Stallone? John, what did you write?
Aggressive?
Aggressive. Okay, what's the public perception? That's what you think, right? That's your thoughts. What's the public perception of you?
Untrustworthy.
Okay, public is untrustworthy. What was the next one? Somebody said over here.
Sneaky.
A liar.
Be cautious. Is that fit in there or is that a new one?
I'm sorry, Michael.
Be cautious.
Be cautious. Be cautious. Okay. Be cautious. What else? What's the other public perception, Nick?
Like going to the dentist.
Like going to the dentist.
Dentistry of sales, like root canal.
What else?
Pushy.
Pushy?
That's right.
What else? Fast talking.
Pressure.
Kind of like Cadillac Man. You ever see that movie? There's a... I mean, that's aggressiveness to the max, isn't it? I mean, going to a funeral to sell a Cadillac. I mean, that's... All right. This is what you said you saw yourself as being, a variety of different things. Actually, I was quite intrigued with your first impressions when I said, give me the first word, and you said sly and aggressive, always talking, long hours, professional, and it started to get better. It started out sly, aggressive, always talking, but it started to get better. We got professional, myself, pressure, patient person, competitive, friendly, new, sells cars, man, male. We see it as still being a male-dominated business, I suppose. It's a dealership, there's money involved, and we're fast. The public, however, you say, sees a totally different person as being untrustworthy, a liar, cautious, or to be cautious. It's kind of like going to the dentist for root canal. We're pushy, fast-talking, and there's a lot of pressure involved. Regardless of what their perception of us may be, it's still up to us to prove that we are not part of that group that should be painted with the broad strokes of a brush. And it starts with every single person that we have the opportunity to meet. So let's go back and talk about meet and greet and the various things that we do in the process of meeting and greeting, because we would agree that it is the foundation to building that relationship with a person, which ultimately results in our being able to do business together and having them refer more business to us. And that's really what we're in the business to do. Everybody has a standard sort of a meet and greet. How about somebody demonstrating what they would normally say to a prospect coming into their dealership for the first time? You don't know me, I just come into your dealership. What would you actually say to me when I come into the showroom? All right, Les, what would you do? What's the greeting I would get from Les?
I put my jacket up and I say, good morning, my name is Les Gear, welcome to Marvin Star. How can I help you today?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Les. Now, Les said, good morning, welcome to Marvin Star, told me where I was, told me his name, and asked how he could help me today. James, how about you? Come on out here and show me what you would do for me.
Hi, James Rodbard. Welcome to Roy Foss. And you are?
Wayne?
Wayne, nice to see you this morning. How can I help you?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, James. Now, James welcomed me to Roy Foss, gave me his name. Nice to see you this morning. He asked my name. How can I help you? Made me feel welcome, made me feel comfortable at the dealership. Cy, how would you do it at Slessor's? Is it a different greeting out there in a rural area? Huh? Come on up here and show me what you do.
Not really.
Be right with you, okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good
How are you
morning.
this morning?
Fine, thanks.
Welcome to Slessor Motors. I'm Cy Wagner. You are?
Wayne Jones.
How can I help you this morning?
Okay, thanks, Si. So pretty much the same thing. Welcome, good morning, welcome to my dealership. My name is, what is your name? How can I help you? Nothing offensive there. Everybody does it, some variation of that, right? Anybody see a problem with that? Do you do it the same way every time? No. No?
It's too repetitious.
Maybe too repetitious? For who, Si?
For me.
Aha.
I get stale.
But I only meet you once.
That's right.
For
but
the
I
first
get-
time.
It's just like putting your pants on. You get a little lax, a little stale. If you change it every time, you stay fresher.
Okay, so you want to add some variety to it. What do you do after you have asked that question, that all-important question of, how can I help you this morning? Let's go back and review the steps on our reception. Good morning. Welcome to Unionville Motors. My name is Cy Wagner. And yours? Thank you for coming in. Now, everybody gave me some variation of that. So what we're talking about here is a routine. What do you do after that? How do you deal with the customer who says, I'm just looking.
Can I help you look for something?
Can I help you look for something? Paul, what would you offer if, to a customer who says, I'm just looking?
May I ask what you're exactly looking at, which vehicle that you're looking at, you know, and if
So you want to know what I'm looking at, what vehicle I'm looking at, and so forth, okay? You ever run into a problem with this? How many people in the room run into a problem with the customer who comes in and will not give you a response, but they're unresponsive and they just say, I'm just looking, okay? What's the underlying motive for the customer saying, I'm just looking? Greg?
He doesn't want to be pressured right now. He's going to get his back up if you start asking him questions.
He either doesn't want to be pressured or he feels he's going to, because why? Because of the reputation. The perception is that as soon as I walk into your dealership, you're going to sell me something. So, if we could show you a way of meeting and greeting a customer coming into your showroom for the very first time, a process, if you will, that could be used, that will dispel some of these concerns. It has been tested, it's been psychologically developed, it elicits positive answers from people, or gives you an answer that you can deal with. Would you try it? That's all I'm saying. If it helps you sell one more vehicle a week or one more vehicle a month, would it be something that you'd be interested in looking at and trying? Absolutely? Okay. We've got one for you. Now, we're going to go through this step by step, and the customer who comes in. So we start out with our normal greet. It says, good morning, welcome to my dealership. My name is, and yours. Thanks for coming in. You know what the next question in the system is? Your starter question? What brings you in today? In other words, why are you here? What prompted you to come in? Is that offensive? A person might say, what was it?
My 8-year-old rat outside.
Sure, my 8-year-old whatever, rattle trap that's parked outside. Some people might say, my feet. Okay, we got a live one. But why are you here today? What actually brought you here? Somebody says, I'm looking for the service department. I'm coming to the parts department. So what would you do? You'd simply show them where the parts department, thanks for coming in, and there's where you want to go. It's a very nice, cordial welcome. What brings you in? What do you suppose we would want to know from the customer next? What brings you in today? I'm interested in a sedan, a new sedan. The next question we would offer is, what do you hope to accomplish? How do you feel about that question? Don?
Off the bat, I feel a little uneasy with it.
Why?
I'm not sure. I wonder if it's, in a way, putting a little bit of pressure on them too quick.
Okay, and what do you think, Brian?
Maybe a little too pointed.
Maybe a little too pointed. I saw a positive nod from either Brian or Michael here.
To me, it seems like, what do you hope to accomplish? Like, are you wasting my time, or?
Yes. Could it be the emphasis on the syllable? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I could look at you and I could say, you know, when I look at you, all time stops for me. Or I could say, you got a face that stops clocks. I've told you the same thing, but I've told it to you two different ways. So it's the accent on the syllable, the wrong accent on the right syllable. It's how you say it, not what you say. So if you say that in a blunt format, if I come in and Brian comes in and I say, you know, welcome to the dealership, and what brings you in today? And Brian says that I'm interested in a new sedan, and I say to him, and what did you hope to accomplish today? It depends on how you put it. Well, he may say, I want a brochure. I want to get some prices. And I maybe want to have a test drive. What would you ask next? What model? What would you ask before that? You're trying to establish some rapport with this person now, right?
Something about maybe the car he's driving to get him talking about.
Okay, you might offer something like that. We would propose that you would say, how much time do you have to spend? Why is that an important question? Vince?
You know how serious they might be. They might be just looking to get an easy out if they give you a short period of time.
Okay, what would most people tell you in that case? Does anybody disagree with asking 10 minutes? Okay, does anybody disagree, first of all, with asking how much time you have to spend? James, what do you think? Would you disagree with that?
No. No, I think it's a reasonable question.
I think it's very reasonable.
Reasonable question? Okay, anybody disagree with that? What happens when the customer says, I got 10 minutes, and they're telling you that, why?
They want to keep a distance, so
they want to keep a distance. They still don't feel comfortable, so I'll just tell them I've got 10 minutes.
What did you hope to accomplish? They always tell you, fine today.
Okay, but what do you hope to accomplish with your visit with us today? You can add different things to it. We'll get to that in a moment. But we asked the time. What happens at the end of 10 minutes? What would you do? You look at your clock or your watch and you say, the person said they had 10 minutes. What would you do? Would you bring it to their attention, or would you just keep going?
Just keep going.
Stu says he would keep going. Why, Stu?
Well, because there are certain things that you have to learn to just take in for your information, and if you did that, then you're going to break up the whole train of thought and what you were trying to accomplish, and remind them that they told you that. So I would definitely not mention that. Okay, Stu feels that you'd want to keep the train of thought going. You wouldn't want to bring another element into the conversation, so he wouldn't bring to their attention the fact that their 10 minutes was up. Anybody agree or disagree with that, and why? What do you think, Michael? Would you tell somebody that 10 minutes is up?
No, I wouldn't. I'd approach it. I get that quite often, and what I try to do is, if they want to put a time on it, try to find out exactly what car they were interested in, so that it would help me save their time and focus on exactly what they were interested in.
But all you're doing here is establishing a time frame when the customer came in. Would anybody tell them that the 10 minutes is up? James says he would. Why?
Well, first of all, it acknowledges the fact that you listened to what the customer had to say in the first place, that he said he only had 10 minutes. It also gives you a way of judging whether or not you're doing a good job. If he says, oh, yeah, I've got to run, well, you've not perhaps done what you should have. If he said, well, I'll give you a couple more minutes, then you've got a way of judging your flow.
Okay. Can I offer you a suggestion? And you can take this suggestion, but I want to offer you a suggestion. One of the perceptions you said that people don't have of us is that we're not trustworthy, we're unreliable, we lie, we do all of these other things. We say we want people to consider us to be knowledgeable, professional, respected, and trustworthy. The customer, you know, gave you the 10 minutes when they came in the door because that's sort of their out. I'll give them 10 minutes or her 10 minutes, and then I can excuse myself if I don't like the way things are going. You look and you automatically assume, don't we? Tell me we don't, the customers lie. So here we have two people. We've got one faction over here as the customer who says, salespeople lie. We got salespeople over here who say, you know, customers always lie. So now we got two liars sitting across the table saying, now which one is going to prove themselves to be a bigger liar than the other one first? You see, if we don't take that first step to hold the hand out with the palm leaf, how do you expect to change the relationship? I would assume that when you make a new friend, think about this, when you make a new friend or acquaintance, do you not believe them and trust them until such time as they prove themselves to be untrustworthy and unbelievable? Your friends, you accept information from your friends and you believe it to be true because you trust them. And that trust has been built up because you haven't made any overt attempt to deceive one another. True? You haven't built a relationship with this person yet to establish that trust. But if we're going to establish trust, I need to treat the customer as though they are telling me the truth. If the customer comes in and Brian says to me, Wayne, I've got 10 minutes. I look at my watch and I see that it's 10:15, and I say, fine, and do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Because, you see, I want to make the best use of your time. Your time. At the end of 10 minutes, I would come to you and I would say, Brian, when you first came in this morning, you said you only had 10 minutes. I'm sorry, our 10 minutes is up. Now, could you spare me a little more time, or should we make an appointment so that you can come back when it's more convenient and you'll have more time? What am I doing? I'm saying to Brian, I believed you when you said you had 10 minutes. You have credibility with me. I'm establishing credibility with you, am I not? I'm establishing myself as being trustworthy. I'm not taking advantage of the fact you may legitimately have 10 minutes. You could get a customer coming in at noon who has 10, 15 minutes because they've got to go back to their place of business. So they legitimately only have that. But if we assume that they are misleading us, are we not perpetuating that image that we have? Would we not be better off to bring it to their attention? And we establish ourselves as being somebody who, you know, this person just might be the right one. What do you have to try to do in a competitive business? Establish yourself as being above the crowd. What's that commercial for one of the real estate companies, you know? Above the crowd. Highly competitive business. You all sell the same product. You all represent different dealerships. So I can buy that car from any one of the dealerships, from any one of the salespeople sitting in this room today. What you have to do is distinguish yourself as being the one who merits my business. And I can tell you from the dealerships that I visited that if you can do this, you will certainly establish yourself at a new level of expertise, because the customers are going to say, nobody's ever asked me that before. See, the questions elicit, if you think about them, when you say to somebody, you know, thank you for coming in, what brings you in today? That's sort of, what are you looking for? And the customer says, well, I'm just looking. Well, that's fine. What did you hope to accomplish when you look at what we have available? See, you can add things in there, and you may even ask an intermediate question so that you don't take, so you take what you might think to be a blunt edge to it, if there is one. But I propose to you it is not. It lets the customer give you an answer. It almost forces them, because there's no yes or no answer to it, is there? Have you noticed they're open-ended? And the biggest problem you have as a salesperson is the customer says, nope, yep, nope. So, any questions on these now? The starter questions: what brings you in today? What did you hope to accomplish in your time that you have with us? How much time do you have? And so that I can make the best use of your time, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? There's nothing threatening there. It's focused towards the customer, is it not? Isn't that the beautiful part? It's the customer who feels in control. Think of it. If you came into my car dealership and I asked you those questions, who's in control? You are. Isn't that the perception? Who's in control? You are. The salesperson. We both feel in control because neither one is trying to exercise the control over the other. We're simply asking for information and establishing some rapport. Simple? Now, you remember I started out the discussion this morning by saying to you that you do things by routine. This is going to take a little time to work as well, because this is not something that's new. The first part is, isn't it? Good morning, welcome to, my name is, and yours. Thanks for coming in. What brings you in today? What did you hope to accomplish? How much time do you have to spend with us? And so that we can make the best use of your time, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Sounds easy, isn't it? If we're going to implement a bit of a change in our normal procedure, we need to practice the fundamentals, don't we? And so we want to try to use this, and we're going to test your ability on this throughout the day, and we'll have some little practice sessions when we stop and we start. What I would like to do in order to get the affair going and have you do a practice session, I would like table number 1, which is identified with this table here. They will initially be the customers. Table number 5 over here will be the salesperson. So you will meet and greet one another. You'll pair off, meet and greet one another, and you will, reading your card, or I can leave that up there, whatever is most convenient, greet your prospect using these statements. And then when you've done that a couple of times, you'll reverse roles, and you will become the salesperson and you will become the customers, just to get a feel for the flow of it. And there's going to be a little bit of stumbling about that happens there. Is everybody clear on what I want you to do? Okay, so if that's clear, if everyone get up and do the exercise and go and meet and greet somebody on the opposite side of the room.
Hi, welcome to Red Fox Motors. My name's Brian and you are Sam.
Good morning, my name is Harold.
Good morning, Harold.
Welcome to Australia, and
So in the beginning, when you're learning something that's new, you really need to try to memorize it. You need to get a mental fix on it that allows you to personalize it later. But you have to try it, and you have to make it part of your normal routine. We're early, in the presentation of this concept to the sales groups, but a couple of salespeople I've talked to have been in to earlier meetings and experienced this meet and greet, have found it to be successful and said that it's really unique. Because if you stop and think about it yourself, how many customers get asked that question? And that's really what we're trying to do. So I'm asking your commitment to try this, to incorporate it in part of your regular routine when you have your customers coming into your showroom on a daily basis, and it will become yours. This is just, as you might gather, the first of a continuing meet, greet, establish rapport, qualify customer program that we will be presenting to you. There'll be a second sequence that will come up in the fall session when we're back together this coming fall, and then we'll repeat these 2 sections and add a couple more as we build up an overall program or process and procedure. Remember when we were talking about the elements of a successful sale, the first slide I showed you had a ladder, and we started at the top with the follow-up. And I made an analogy or a reference to the fact that the sales process is a continuum, it's a wheel. When we get to the follow-up, we're starting it over again. We started with the meet and greet, and we went on to the qualifying with the customer. We went to the presentation aspect. From there, we did a demonstration. We made a sale. We delivered the vehicle, and the byproduct of that, our reward was we earned a commission and we established a new customer. The important part then was to follow up. And if you remember from the last meeting we had, the number 1 point that was selected among all the salespeople that participated was the reminder that I need to follow up with my customers all the time. I need to make that a regular practice. Why? And it was mentioned here this morning, because if I don't follow up, I'm not maintaining that customer relationship, and that's what makes the wheel complete. If you take one piece out, you got a flat. It's just like the ladder. If you take one step out, you may not be able to get to the next rung of the ladder because the jump is too big. So please remember it. It all starts with the meet and greet and the very premise that you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. So give it a try, see how it works, and when we get together again in the fall, we're going to come back and find out how many people found it successful and how they may have modified it to suit their own personal style. Any questions? Comments? You You think it'll work?
Yes.
You think it'll work? You think it'll work, Si? You think it'll work, Michael?
I'll try it.
You give it a try? Paul, will you give it a try? Tina, you'll give it a try? Les, what do you think? John? Feels non-threatening? Think it'll work, Harold? Renee? You think so, Don? You've been selling for a while. What do you think, Stu? Vince? Joe? Give it a whirl? Sam, I know you'll try it, won't you?
I think
Nick?
it's a nice, gentle approach.
A gentle approach, okay. James? Give it a go? Okay, that's all we ask you to do is give it a go. Fair effort for fair rewards. Great.